For years, we've been told a very simple story about nuts and the brain. They're all good. Eat a handful and you're fine. At the same time, headlines shout that dementia is rising, that memory problems are inevitable, and that after 60, it's normal to lose words, misplace objects, and feel your mind getting slower. Deep down, many people accept a quiet belief. Whatever I eat now won't change much. My brain is already on its way down. But your brain doesn't work like that. Even after 60, it is still plastic, still able to adapt, still building and pruning connections every single night. The choices on your plate do not decide everything, but they do send daily messages to your neurons and to the blood vessels that feed them. The fats you eat, the salt and sugar around them, the toxins you avoid or accumulate, all of that matters. Not in a dramatic, overnight way, but in thousands of small nudges that either support your memory or wear it down. In this video, I want to walk with you through one very specific corner of that story: nuts. Not in the simplistic sense of superfood or poison, but in a more honest way. There are nut habits that slowly hurt your brain, especially when you repeat them for years without noticing. And there are nut habits that quietly support your memory, your focus, and your future risk of dementia. We'll talk about 3 nuts that can work against you when eaten in the most common, ultra-processed forms, and 3 nuts that, in their natural state, can help protect your brain as part of a healthy lifestyle. My intention is not to scare you, but to give you clarity, so that every handful you eat is on your side, not against you. First, let's name the fear behind all this. After 60, it is common to notice little cracks in memory. You walk into a room and pause, wondering why you're there. A name you have known for years sits on the tip of your tongue and refuses to come out. You open the fridge and forget what you wanted. Maybe you laugh it off in front of others, but inside, there is a small knot. Is this the beginning of something worse? If a family member has lived with dementia, that knot can feel even tighter. At the same time, you live in a world full of brain foods, miracle supplements, and contradictory advice, so it's easy to end up paralyzed, eating whatever is convenient and hoping for the best. Your brain, however, is not waiting passively. It is constantly bathed in blood. Every heartbeat brings oxygen, sugar, fats, and micronutrients to the cells that let you remember, plan, speak, and stay oriented. When those blood vessels are clean and flexible, when inflammation is low and blood sugar is stable, your neurons live in a kinder environment. When blood vessels are stiff and clogged, when inflammation is constant and sugar swings wildly, the same neurons live under stress. Over years, that difference adds up. The risk of dementia is strongly linked to cardiovascular health, insulin resistance, chronic inflammation, and exposure to certain toxins. And nuts, depending on how we eat them, can lean on either side of that scale. Let's start with the less comfortable part: 3 nut habits that can quietly harm your brain over time. Notice that I said habits, not bad nuts, as such. In nature, most nuts are nutrient-dense. The problem begins when the food industry takes those nuts, coats them in salt, sugar, and cheap oils, stores them for months, and sells them as harmless snacks. The shape still looks like a nut, but what reaches your brain through your blood has changed radically. The first nut that harms your brain in practice is the industrial peanut snack. Strictly speaking, peanuts are legumes, not tree nuts, but for your body, they occupy the same mental space. Something crunchy you pop into your mouth without thinking. In their natural, unsalted form, peanuts can offer protein, healthy fats, and some beneficial compounds. The trouble is that many of the peanuts most people eat are not natural at all. They are fried or roasted at very high temperatures, then drowned in salt, sugar, refined oils, and artificial flavors. When you open a bag of honey-roasted peanuts, spicy-coated peanuts, or bright orange peanut puffs, you are not feeding your brain healthy fats. You are hitting your body with a mix of excess sodium, added sugar, and often low-quality oils. High salt intake, raises blood pressure, and consistently high blood pressure damages the tiny vessels that nourish your brain tissue. Sudden spikes in sugar-strain insulin signaling, which over time can push you toward insulin resistance, a state strongly associated with higher risk of cognitive decline. Cheap oils exposed to high heat become oxidized, forming compounds that increase inflammation. That inflammation doesn't just affect your joints, it also affects brain cells. There is another hidden risk in low-quality peanuts: contamination with molds that produce aflatoxins. These toxins can appear when peanuts are stored in warm, humid conditions and not handled properly. At high exposures, aflatoxins are well-known liver carcinogens. Research is now also exploring their potential to damage the nervous system, contributing to oxidative stress and inflammation in brain cells. Good quality control, roasting, and modern regulations reduce this risk, but cheap, poorly stored peanuts from unknown sources can still carry it. Over years, small doses of such toxins, on top of high salt and sugar, are not a friendly gift to your brain. The second harmful nut is not a single species, but a particular style: the candied or sugar-glazed nut, especially pecans, cashews, and almonds coated in caramel, honey, brittle or thick sweet sauces. Think of those glossy nuts in supermarket tubs, the ones sold as gourmet treats, or the sugar-crusted nuts at fairs and markets. Underneath the coating, the nut still contains healthy fats and minerals. But when you bury it in sugar and often butter or refined oils, the overall effect changes. A small, sweet taste occasionally is not a crime. The problem comes when sweet nuts become a daily comfort ritual. Your brain is highly sensitive to blood sugar. It needs a steady, moderate supply of glucose to function, but it does not do well with constant peaks and crashes. Sweetened nuts deliver a dense combination of sugar and fat that makes it easy to overeat, especially at night in front of a screen. Repeated sugar spikes trigger insulin surges. Over years, these patterns are linked to higher risk of type 2 diabetes and prediabetes. Both conditions significantly increase the risk of dementia. Excess sugar also contributes to the formation of compounds called advanced glycation end products, which can promote oxidative stress and inflammation in the brain. When you combine that with saturated fats from some glazes and a sedentary life, the message to your brain is not one of protection. The third nut that can harm your brain when misused is the Brazil nut, not because it is bad in itself, but because it is easy to overdo. Brazil nuts are incredibly rich in selenium, a mineral that your body needs in small amounts to support antioxidant defenses and thyroid function. For many people, one Brazil nut a few times a week can help cover selenium needs in a natural way. The problem is that very small changes in quantity turn this gift into a risk. A handful of Brazil nuts every day, on top of a multivitamin or other sources of selenium, can push you into excess. Too much selenium over time can lead to a condition called selenosis. Symptoms can include digestive problems, hair loss, brittle nails, skin rashes, irritability, fatigue, and, importantly for our topic, problems in the nervous system. People with selenium toxicity can experience tingling, weakness in the limbs, and other neurological signs. In severe cases, very high intake has been associated with mood changes and more serious health issues. When you look at a Brazil nut, it is easy to underestimate its power. It's just another crunchy piece in a mix, but for selenium, it's more like a concentrated capsule. A small dose supports your defenses. A big daily dose can begin to act against your nerves. So far, we have looked at 3 ways nuts can become unhelpful for your brain. Peanuts turned into ultra-processed snacks, nuts converted into sugar vehicles, and Brazil nuts taken in excess. The larger pattern behind them is simple. When we disconnect nuts from their natural form, when we combine them with excess salt, sugar, or concentrated minerals, we turn a potential ally into a slow stressor for our brain and its blood vessels. The good news is that the opposite is also true. In their natural, unsalted, unglazed state, many nuts contain a combination of healthy fats, fiber, antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals that together form a strong support team for your brain as it ages. Now let's turn to the 3 nuts that can help you fight, or at least push back, the processes that lead toward dementia. None of them is a miracle cure. No single food can guarantee that you will not develop a neurodegenerative disease. But regular consumption of certain nuts, in the context of an overall healthy diet and lifestyle, is associated with better cognitive performance and lower risk of dementia in multiple studies. Your brain loves them because they nourish both the neurons themselves and the system of vessels and immune cells that surround them. The first of these protective nuts is the walnut. If there were such a thing as a brain nut, walnuts would be the leading candidate. Even their shape, with 2 lobes resembling a tiny brain, is a poetic reminder of their role. Walnuts are particularly rich in a plant-based omega-3 fat called alpha-linolenic acid. Omega-3s help build flexible cell membranes in the brain and support processes involved in learning and memory. Walnuts also provide polyphenols and vitamin E, antioxidants that help neutralize free radicals and reduce oxidative stress, which is one of the forces that slowly injures brain cells over time. Beyond theory, several observational studies in older adults have found that people who eat walnuts regularly tend to perform better on cognitive tests than those who rarely eat them. Some trials have explored adding walnuts to the diets of people at risk of cognitive decline within Mediterranean-style eating patterns. While results are not identical in every study, the overall picture suggests that walnuts can support aspects of memory and processing speed, especially when they replace less healthy snacks. Their impact on cholesterol and blood vessel health is also important. By helping maintain healthier arteries and better blood flow, walnuts indirectly support brain tissue against vascular damage, a key contributor to certain types of dementia. The second nut that deserves a place in your brain protection plan is the almond. Almonds are known for their vitamin E content, a nutrient that plays a central role in protecting cell membranes from oxidative damage. Aging brains are particularly vulnerable to oxidative stress, and some research suggests that people with higher intakes of vitamin E from food have a lower risk of cognitive decline. Almonds also provide monounsaturated fats, the same type of fat found in olive oil, which is a pillar of heart-healthy diets associated with lower dementia risk. When you eat a handful of unsalted almonds, you are giving your brain a package that includes healthy fats, fiber, vitamin E, magnesium, and small amounts of plant compounds that modulate inflammation. Almonds also have a relatively low impact on blood sugar compared to many other snacks. That matters because stable blood sugar helps protect the delicate structures in the brain that are damaged by repeated peaks and crashes. In practical terms, almonds make an excellent replacement for pastries, cookies, or candies that many people reach for in the afternoon when their energy dips. By changing the snack but keeping the ritual, you shift the message from stress to support. The third nut that can help fight dementia processes is the pistachio. Pistachios may not be as famous as walnuts for brain health, but they bring their own unique strengths. They contain lutein and zeaxanthin, pigments also found in leafy greens that accumulate in the retina and may support visual and cognitive function. They provide vitamin B6, which is involved in neurotransmitter synthesis, including the production of molecules that influence mood and cognition. Their mix of fiber, healthy fats, and protein helps slow digestion, keeping you satisfied and avoiding rapid sugar spikes. Pistachios also invite a different pace of eating. Because many are sold in their shells, you have to work a little to get each one. That slows you down, giving your body time to register satiety and making it harder to mindlessly eat a huge quantity in a few minutes. For brain health, that matters. A modest portion of pistachios, eaten with awareness, can be a bridge between meals that keeps your energy and focus steady. The gentle crunch and green color also make them easy to combine with other brain-supportive foods like berries, yogurt, or salads rich in leafy greens. At this point, you might be asking a very practical question. How much of these good nuts do you actually need, and how do you eat them without falling into the traps we discussed earlier? For most people, a sensible target is about a small handful of mixed nuts per day, roughly 20 to 30 grams, as part of an overall plant-rich, Mediterranean-style eating pattern. That handful can include walnuts, almonds, and pistachios in proportions you enjoy. The key is that they are unsalted, not candied, and as fresh as possible. Nuts stored for too long or exposed to heat and light can become rancid, making their fats less beneficial. You can sprinkle chopped walnuts on oatmeal or yogurt in the morning, add almonds to a salad at lunch, and enjoy pistachios as an afternoon or evening snack instead of chips or cookies. If you eat fish regularly and use olive oil, the omega-3s and monounsaturated fats from nuts will fit neatly into that pattern. If you are plant-based, nuts can be one of your main sources of healthy fats and certain vitamins. The brain does not require extreme amounts. What it needs is consistent, moderate flows of nutrients that reduce inflammation, support blood vessels, and provide antioxidant protection. Of course, there are situations where nuts of any kind need caution. If you have a nut allergy, these foods are not your friends, and you will protect your brain in other ways. If you live with advanced kidney disease, some nuts may need to be limited due to their mineral content. If you have swallowing difficulties, whole nuts can be a choking hazard and must be prepared differently, for example, ground or as smooth nut butters if tolerated. Those are specific cases where professional guidance is essential. For most older adults without those constraints, however, unsalted tree nuts are a realistic, enjoyable way to feed the brain. To understand how these changes might feel in real life, imagine a man in his late 60s who loves snacking on chili lime peanuts and sugar-glazed cashews in the evening while watching television. He has started forgetting small things more often and wakes up a couple of times at night feeling thirsty. His blood pressure is creeping up. When he learns how salt, sugar, and toxins in those snacks affect his brain's blood vessels and inflammatory state, he feels a mix of worry and relief. There is something concrete he can change. He decides to reserve his spicy peanuts and candied nuts for rare occasions and replaces his nightly bowl with a mix of walnuts, almonds, and pistachios, lightly roasted and unsalted. At first, it feels less exciting, but after a few weeks, he notices he wakes less thirsty. His blood pressure readings improve, and his afternoons feel a bit clearer. The fear of dementia doesn't disappear, but he now feels he is doing something active for his brain instead of silently feeding the problem. Picture a woman in her early 70s who follows a plant-heavy diet but is afraid of eating nuts because she has heard they are fattening. She often reaches for low-fat crackers or rice cakes between meals and wonders why her mind feels foggy and her energy crashes. When she discovers that a small portion of nuts, especially walnuts and almonds, can support brain health, she experiments with swapping one of her cracker snacks for yogurt with crushed nuts and berries. The calorie count is similar, but the effect on her body is different. The combination of fat, protein, and fiber keeps her satisfied, and she notices she can focus longer in the afternoon without turning to sugary foods. Her weight stays stable, but her relationship with food changes from fear to strategy. Think of a couple in their mid-60s, one of whom has a family history of Alzheimer's disease. They feel a cloud of anxiety whenever they misplace an object or forget a detail. Their pantry is full of mixed nut bags, but many are flavored, salted, or candied. Together, they decide to give their shelves a brain makeover. They read labels, remove products with long ingredient lists and added sugars, and restock with plain walnuts, whole almonds, and in-shell pistachios. They start a small tradition. Every afternoon, instead of a processed snack, they share a plate of nuts and fruit with tea. The ritual becomes a moment of connection and a quiet commitment to their future selves. They know it doesn't guarantee any outcome, but it helps transform their fear into action. Finally, imagine someone in their late 70s who has already been told their memory is not what it was and who feels tempted to give up. Their diet is random, based mostly on what is easy and soft. A geriatrician or nutritionist looks at their overall pattern and sees almost no nuts, little fiber, and many refined snacks. Together, they introduce one new habit: a small bowl of chopped walnuts and almonds added to their morning porridge, adjusted for chewing and swallowing safety. Over months, this person may not feel dramatic changes, but their blood sugar stabilizes a bit, their cholesterol improves, and their brain lives in a slightly calmer environment. The nuts are not a miracle, but they are a daily signal that someone still believes in their capacity to benefit from care. Before we close, there are 3 key ideas worth keeping clear. First, no nut, seed, or supplement can cure dementia or replace medical treatment. Nuts support brain health best when they are part of a larger lifestyle that includes regular movement, enough sleep, social connection, mental challenge, and attention to blood pressure, blood sugar, and cholesterol. Second, what harms or helps your brain is not the nut's name on the package, but the total package: salt, sugar, oil type, freshness, and portion size. Third, if you take medications, have allergies, or live with chronic diseases, it is wise to talk with your healthcare provider before making big changes, especially with powerful foods like Brazil nuts that concentrate certain minerals. If I had to compress everything we've explored into a single sentence, it would be this: after 60, your brain does not need more fear. It needs fewer ultra-processed nuts that inflame its vessels and more simple walnuts, almonds, and pistachios that quietly feed its cells day after day. You can start very small. Today or tomorrow, look at the nuts in your cupboard. Separate the bags that come with a long list of ingredients from the ones that list only the nut itself. Ask yourself which of the harmful habits we talked about has become normal for you: the salty peanut snacks, the candied mixes, or the accidental Brazil nut overdose. Then choose one tiny shift, such as replacing one nightly bowl of flavored nuts with a small handful of plain, mixed tree nuts. It may seem insignificant, but repeated over weeks and months, it becomes a line of code written into your brain's future. If someone you love is over 60 and jokes about their senior moments while snacking on bright-coated nuts, share this message with them as an act of care, not criticism. Let them know that their brain is still listening to what they eat, and that it is never too late to start feeding it more wisely. And if you want to keep learning about natural, science-supported ways to protect your brain, your body, and your vitality in maturity, you can subscribe and stay close to this community. Your story is not finished. One small, thoughtful handful at a time, you can still influence how your brain ages and how present you are for the moments that matter most.